So you're trying to buy a property, but you need to sell your property. It is going to get a little bit stressful, but let's have a chat about the process to make sure you're not too stressed. Now, you might have purchased 30 years ago. We've all got a rough idea of how buying a property works. We find out how much we can borrow, we find a property, we make an offer, we do our due diligence, we settle, happy days. So in a normal, everyday scenario, to purchase a property, you find the property, you make the offer, your offer gets accepted. You've got 7 days to get a building and pest. You might have a 14-day finance clause and a 30-day settlement. However, having a property to sell adds a little bit of a complication. First step I'd recommend would be to go and see your mortgage broker or your bank. Find out roughly what your property might be worth. Have a bit of a pessimistic view. After all, you'd rather have too much money than not enough to purchase the property you want. What can you afford to spend, or how much can you afford to borrow to purchase this property? And can you afford a bridging loan, or do you need to sell to buy? Let's say you found the property on Saturday, you make the offer, your offer gets accepted Saturday night. Straight away, you contact your agent. Your agent says, okay, quick, get it tidied up, let's get photos booked. Let's book photos for Monday or Tuesday. You also have to order your Form 2 or your seller disclosure as of August 1st, 2025. Now, this will take a few days to come in, and also solicitors aren't open on a Sunday, so you might have to wait till Monday to actually get it kicked off. When your photos come back in 24 hours, which may be 2 to 3 days since you've signed the contract, you will launch online, giving you roughly 4 to 5 days before your first open home. Let's say you get an average buyer. They make an offer, they buy your property, subject to 7 days building and pest, 14 days finance, and 30-day settlement. Already you can see you're going to have to extend the settlement on your purchase by another 7 days. Now remember, while you're getting your property ready to sell, you've also got to be booking your building and pest and doing your due diligence on the property that you're purchasing. So having that all compressed like that, it sounds pretty stressful, doesn't it? Well, there are two options that make it a little bit less stressful. Notice I said less stressful because there will always be a little bit of stress in any change. There's always an unknown factor. No one can guarantee the perfect purchase and sale process, just like no agent can guarantee you a sale price. Option 1. This involves you contacting a sales agent about 30 days ahead of time. This allows you to tidy up the property, do any repairs, get your photos taken, order your Form 2 well in advance. Again, you find your property, you make the offer gets accepted, you can then straight away go, bang, pull the trigger, launch the property, we're online. You don't have to worry about waiting for photos, solicitors, or anything like that. So already there's a lot less stress there. Now, running through that scenario, you've still got the average buyer, 7 days building and pest, 14 days finance, 30-day settlement. You've still got to extend the settlement of your purchase by about 7 days, and you've got to remember you're still doing the building and pest on your purchase property at the same time. So it's not entirely not stressful. Keep in mind, some buyers may want a 21-day finance clause or even 60-day settlement term, so you may not always get the highest price doing it this way. Now, option 2. Well, this is a little bit different. So again, you're contacting a sales agent well in advance. It might take you 7 days to get the property tidied up, photos, get the Form 2 or the seller disclosure ordered. Then you can launch, go on the market, have your first open home in about 6 days' time. An offer gets accepted, you've got 7 days building and pest, 14 days finance, but in this case, you've got 90-day settlement. On that 14-day finance condition, once the buyers have their finance approved, your property is unconditional. That dollar amount is what your property is going to sell for. Unless something really, really bad happens, that is what you can expect to get for your property. So straight away, you know what your spending capacity is on the property you're purchasing. This is when you can comfortably make offers on properties. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't have made an offer on a property 7 days earlier or 14 days earlier, but at least you're comfortable in knowing what your property is going to sell for. With the next property, you can have your 7 days building and pest, your 14 days finance. In some ways, you can dictate the settlement period on both sales. For instance, you know what your settlement period is on your property, 90 days, so you can line up the settlement of your purchasing property for the same period. And your solicitor may even be able to put in a contemporaneous settlement clause on your behalf, meaning that they have to settle at the same time. Doesn't this sound a little bit less stressful? You've got a lot more knowledge of what's going on your side. You know how much your property is going to sell for. You know when your settlement is, and now you've just got to find a property. Obviously, there's still a little bit of unknown. What happens if you don't find a property in time? What happens if the market goes up in that time? There's a little bit more to it than this, because you will need subject to sale and subject to settlement clauses. And depending on where you are in the life cycle of your sale, this may determine which clause you use. If you do want to buy but need to sell, feel free to reach out. We can run you through these scenarios in person, have a chat about your situation, see what you need to do to get your property on the market, and hopefully help you buy something.